to work with quality issues and for the concrete improvement of public services? If so, SALAR's starter kit for sustainable gender equality might be the thing for you. Why not see for yourself? It snows in Sweden, and after the snow falls, the municipality ploughs the streets and squares so that we can get through. What does that have to do with gender equality? Well, women walk, cycle and use public transport to a greater extent than men, who travel more by car. This means that municipal snow removal has different consequences for men and for women. This is a form of gender inequality that we can put into figures. 3 times more pedestrians than motorists are injured in single-vehicle accidents caused by icy roads. Most of them are women. Hospital care and lost productivity due to accidents in slippery conditions cost 4 times as much as winter road maintenance. In Karlskoga municipality, city officials analysed local snow removal from a gender perspective and found that typically male areas were prioritised. First, the ring roads were cleared, usually late at night when only a few trucks were passing through. Then the major roads and streets were cleared, especially those leading to larger male-dominated workplaces. Last to be cleared were bus stops, pedestrian walkways and bike paths. In other words, the municipality was prioritising snow removal for men above snow removal for women. This was not intentional, of course, they were just doing things the way they had always been done. To solve the problem, the municipality had to rethink its approach. 3 inches of snow are harder to get through on foot than in a car. So it was decided that pedestrian walkways and bike paths should be cleared before the streets. Infant schools were now given first priority because that's where parents go first on their way to work. Larger workplaces were given second priority, but this time female-dominated workplaces such as hospitals and municipal facilities were also included. Pedestrian walkways and bike paths leading to schools were given priority 3. Only when this essential network had been made accessible were the remaining streets and roads cleared of snow. Working in this order resulted in no extra costs for the municipality, but it did make the allocation of resources more gender equal. It also made the city more accessible for everyone, especially children, for whom driving is not an option. SALAR has distributed government funding to 72 municipalities, county councils, regions and private providers. This funding is to enable them to provide equivalent high-quality services to both women and men, girls and boys. In order to share the lessons learned in this development work, SALAR has developed a starter kit for sustainable gender equality. We call it a starter kit because it helps municipalities and county councils get started with their gender equality work. A small concrete improvement is better than a grand but empty vision. We call it sustainable because it's a question of incorporating a gender equality perspective into ordinary activities. In other words, gender mainstreaming. Because women and men have somewhat different living conditions, they may also have different needs. Therefore, the goal is not for women and men to always receive the same services, just ones of equal quality. We will tell you more about the starter kit at the end of the film. Gender equality means women and men enjoying the same rights, obligations and opportunities. The goal of Swedish gender equality policy, as set forth by the Swedish Parliament, is that women and men should have the same power to shape society and their own lives. There are 4 intermediate objectives: an equal division of power and influence, economic equality, equal distribution of unpaid housework and provision of care, and an end to men's violence against women. How municipalities and county councils shape their activities is of course very important for equality between women and men. The Council of European Municipalities and Regions, CEMR, believes it's at the level of municipalities and county councils that an equal society can best be created, because of their proximity to people's everyday lives. Integral to SALAR's starter kit is the idea that gender equality is more than just a right for citizens, it is something that can benefit municipalities and county councils. Just as gender equality in snow removal can prevent suffering and costs due to accidents and slippery conditions, gender mainstreaming can raise quality in all services. A key tool in this work is gender disaggregated statistics. It is only when we reveal how decisions, actions, and treatment affect women and men that we can detect differences and do something about them. Here are some concrete examples. Many women in Kalmar avoided taking the bus home in the evening. The reason was that they felt unsafe walking home from the bus stop. This was shown in a survey. The solution was to introduce so-called night stops, which means that passengers can ask the bus driver to be let off at a specific place, even between normal stops. The driver will only open the front door and make sure that no one else gets off at the same time. This has made nighttime bus travel safer and more attractive for both women and men. When the ambulance service at Sahlgrenska University Hospital in Gothenburg began using gender disaggregated statistics, they discovered that 3 out of 4 patients with hip fractures were women over the age of 85. They were given a lower priority at emergency dispatch and were given pain relief less often than the men. New care routines were introduced as a result. All patients were given pain relief in the ambulance. Paramedics carried out tasks that had previously been done at the A&E department, and the patients were taken directly to radiology. In this way, the patients came to the operating room more quickly. This resulted in fewer patients suffering delirium, thereby reducing the average length of stay and less suffering for the patients. There are large differences in school performance between girls and boys in both primary and secondary schools. A teacher in Piteå realised that she was expecting less of the boys in some writing situations. Sometimes she even finished their tasks herself if they were struggling. Of course, this meant that they got less writing practice than the girls. The teacher began to place the same demands on the boys as the girls. She gave them extra writing exercises and got their parents involved in their work. In just a few months, the boys had improved their writing significantly. This is a basic skill that affects children's learning, and in the long run, their grades in most subjects. A lot of first-rate gender equality work has been carried out in Sweden's municipalities and county councils. However, comparing an organisation to a house, you could say that gender equality work has often been consigned to a shed in the garden. Out there, it has been conducted in separate projects without having much impact on the day-to-day activities. Gender mainstreaming is about moving gender equality into the house. It is only when we achieve a gender equality perspective in day-to-day activities that we can offer women and men equivalent, high-quality services. Gender equality is created and maintained where we make decisions, allocate resources, and create standards. Therefore, it's in the regular decision-making and in day-to-day activities that we have to combat gender inequality. That's what's meant by gender mainstreaming. It means making men and women visible in policy documents at all target levels, from the most wide-ranging plans to concrete operations to work plans. We're talking about gendering management. Writing men and women makes it possible to set gender-equal objectives, paving the way for monitoring and illustrating gender differences. There is a difference between writing students and writing girls and boys in school, or between writing the elderly and elderly women and men. When you include gender among your monitoring tools, you get a deeper analysis and can detect quality issues that were previously unknown simply because the tools for analysis were too blunt. In this way, gender mainstreaming leads to bonuses like increased legal protection of the rule of law and quality control. When control and monitoring are functioning as they should, you can track a decision through the entire organisation. There is a common thread running from decisions of the Assembly through the municipal boards and administration to the everyday work in the field. In other words, if the Assembly sets the goal of providing equivalent and high-quality services for women and men, it can be achieved. But the reverse is also true. If the Assembly does not consider it a goal, it will almost certainly not happen. Botkyrka municipality has knocked down the garden shed and begun moving its gender equality work into the house. Instead of being something done on the side, gender equality work will be made an integral part of day-to-day activities at all levels. The municipal executive has formulated clear orders for gender-equal services. For example, it is the goal of the Culture and Recreation Board that its entire range of services and activities should be equally accessible to women and men, girls and boys. Investigating whether this is the case requires statistics based on gender. The board therefore commissioned a study to map those using the municipality's youth centres. It turned out that 2/3 of the visitors were boys. Only 1/3 were girls. Officials analysed the figures, gave some thought to the conceptions regarding girls and boys the service was built upon, and recommended changes. To ensure that more girls would use the service, the managers and the staff were given training. In conjunction with this, a survey was carried out at the youth centres. The survey applied a gender perspective to how the centres were furnished and looked at how staff treated girls and boys. The survey was then presented at a workshop with suggestions for improvements. For example, the suggestion was made to always plan activities carefully and investigate what the girls wanted. One suggestion was dancing, another was a better outdoor environment, so that they could feel safe walking to and from the premises. The developments at the youth centres are of course monitored using key performance indicators divided by gender. In this way, the municipal leadership can make sure that they have got what they have ordered. The management system is gendered. Within the 72 development projects to which SALAR has allocated funds, we have found a number of success factors for achieving gender equality in services. Active ownership by the political leadership, that the process of change is driven by managers with operational responsibilities, that managers have support staff who work on monitoring quality and operational development. SALAR's starter kit for sustainable gender equality builds upon these lessons. The kit includes a brief presentation for politicians and management executives, preferably in conjunction with a regular meeting of the Assembly or Board, training in gender mainstreaming for politicians, managers and key personnel involved in quality, operational development and monitoring, advisory training for key personnel so that they can assist managers during the process of change, for example by performing gender equality analyses. Swedish municipalities and county councils are facing major challenges. According to SALAR's calculations, the combination of an ageing population and the ongoing development of the welfare system will lead to a funding gap of 200 billion Swedish kronor by the year 2035. In other words, that is the size of the difference between the current tax levy and the projected needs in 2035. It does not mean that 200 billion will suddenly be missing in the public sector, but it is a measure of the scale of the challenge. There are no simple solutions. Streamlining operations is the top priority, especially along the boundaries between municipalities and county councils. But it is also a question of getting things right from the start, taking the right action at the right time. This is precisely what gender mainstreaming is all about. To ensure that waiting times, resource allocation and how people are treated and received are based on the individual, without being distorted by prejudice or ignorance. It is a matter of justice for women and men, girls and boys, but it is also a question of efficiency and quality. So visit www.skl.se/jämställdhet and learn more about how you can take advantage of our starter kit for sustainable gender equality. There you will find information on how to schedule lectures and register for our training courses. We hope to see you there.